Merhaba, bugünün yoğun gündeminden öne çıkanları sizin için derledik. Masamızda neler var? KKTC'nin uluslararası temasları, Türkiye'de siyasetin ısındığı gelişmeler ve tabii Gazze'deki o kritik ateşkes meselesi.
Evet, oldukça yoğun başlıklar.
Aynen. Gelin bakalım bu kaynaklardaki bilgiler ne anlama geliyor? Biraz daha yakından inceleyelim. İlk durağımız Kıbrıs. KKTC Cumhurbaşkanı Ersin Tatar Azerbaycan'daydı, döndü. Önemli bir şey oldu orada.
Evet, Hankendi zirvesi.
Evet, Hankendi'deki Ekonomik İşbirliği Teşkilatı zirvesinde KKTC ilk defa Cumhurbaşkanı düzeyinde hem de kendi bayrağıyla temsil edildi.
Bu sembolik olarak çok güçlü bir adımdı tabii.
Tatar da diyor ki bu KKTC'nin görünürlüğünü yani algısını arttırdı, daha çok kabul görüyoruz artık diyor. Peki bu temsil somut bir şeye dönüşür mü sizce? Ne dersiniz?
Soru bu. Şöyle bakalım, bu temsil olayı bir de Cumhurbaşkanı Erdoğan'ın EYT üyelerine KKTC ile ilişkileri geliştirin çağrısıyla birleşince, KKTC'nin o savunduğu iki devletli çözüm politikası için önemli bir adım oldu. Sembolik değeri yüksek en azından.
Hı.
Kaynaklar Tatar'ın bu durum Güney Kıbrıs'ı rahatsız ettiğini de aktarıyor. Ama hemen bir tanınma gelir mi? Onu demek için erken. Bu daha çok mesajı. Biz buradayız, egemen eşitlik istiyoruz mesajı.
Anladım. Tatar bir yandan da 62 yıldır süren ambargolar için insanlık ayıbı diyor. Bir de New York görüşmeleri var yakında 16-17 Temmuz'da.
Evet, BM arabuluculuğunda orası için de çok net konuşmuş. Biz o görüşmelere diyor, iki devlet arasında işbirliği yapılır mı yapılamaz mı? Bu anlayışla katılacağız. Yani federasyon masası yok diyor. Kesinlikle. Pozisyon çok net. Yani BM ile görüşmeye giderken diyorlar ki bizim temelimiz egemen eşitlik, yani iki ayrı devlet. Ancak bu zeminde işbirliği alanları konuşulabilir. Federasyon defteri en azından şimdilik onlar için tamamen kapanmış görünüyor.
Peki şimdi Türkiye'ye dönelim. İç siyasette bayağı hareketli bir gündü. 3 CHP'li Büyükşehir Belediyesi gözaltına alındı.
Evet, Adana, Adıyaman ve Antalya. Zeydan Karalar, Abdurrahman Tutdere ve Muhittin Böcek.
Aynen, bu çok ses getirdi tabii. Soruşturmalar farklı anladığım kadarıyla. Evet, kaynaklara göre şöyle, İstanbul merkezli bir yolsuzluk soruşturması var İstanbul Büyükşehir Belediyesi ile ilgili. İşte Karalar ve Tutdere bu kapsamda gözaltına alınmış.
Antalya'daki olayısının rüşvet iddiaları ile ilgili, Başkan Böcek de o yüzden gözaltında. İstanbul dosyasında detayı var, etkin pişmanlıktan yararlanan bir şüpheli varmış.
Yani itirafçı gibi mi?
Aynen, soruşturmayla işbirliği yapan biri. Onun ve başka tanıkların ifadeleri önemli rol oynamış deniyor. Tabii bu operasyonların zamanlaması, siyasi etkileri bunlar çok konuşulacaktır. Yerel yönetimler üzerinde bir baskı mı, siyasi rekabet mi bunlar tartışılacak.
Kesinlikle. Şimdi de Orta Doğu'ya bakalım. Gazze'den yani uzun zamandır beklenen bir haber geldi gibi. Hamas, ateşkes ve esir takası teklifine olumlu yanıt vermiş.
Evet, arabulucular Katar ve Mısır'a iletmişler. Açıklamalarında da ciddi müzakerelere tamamen hazırız diyorlar. Bu bir umut ışığı olabilir mi gerçekten?
Olabilir tabii. Neden olmasın? Aylardır süren o yıkımdan sonra.
Aynen. Umutları ciddi şekilde yeşertti bu cevap. Ama tabii temkinli olmak lazım. Gözler şimdi İsrail'de, onlardan henüz resmi bir açıklama yok Tel Aviv'den. İşin ilginç tarafı, ABD Başkanı Trump yani eski başkan, iyi haber demiş bu gelişme için. Hatta haftaya anlaşma imzalanabilir diye umduğunu söylemiş. Ama aynı konuşmada bir yandan da İran'ın nükleer silah yapmasına izin vermeyiz demiş yine.
Yani bir yanda ateşkes umudu, diğer yanda başka gerilimler.
Aynen öyle. Bölgedeki denklem işte bu kadar karmaşık. Bir düğüm çözülür gibi olurken başka yerden gerilim artabiliyor.
Ve maalesef bu diplomatik çabalar sürerken sahadaki durum hala çok acı. İsrail saldırıları durmamış, son 24 saatte 70 Filistinli daha hayatını kaybetmiş.
Evet, rakamlar korkunç. Toplam can kaybı 57.338'e çıkmış, yaralı sayısı 135.000'i geçmiş, bir de enkaz altındakiler var tabii. Binlerce kişi.
İnanılmaz sayılar. Bu rakamlar bile tek başına diplomasinin ne kadar acil ve hayati olduğunu gösteriyor aslında. Son olarak birkaç kısa haber daha var. Türkiye'de İzmir ve Hatay'daki orman yangınları kontrol altına alınmış, büyük ölçüde soğutma yapılıyormuş.
Oh, iyi haber bu.
Ama Ödemiş'teki yangında maalesef bir orman işçisi daha hayatını kaybetmiş. Oradaki kayıp sayısı 3'e yükseldi.
Çok üzücü gerçekten.
Allah rahmet eylesin.
Amin. Bir de ABD Teksas'ta seller var, şiddetli yağışlar sonrası. Orada da durum kötü, en az 24 kişi ölmüş, 20 kadar da kayıp çocuk aranıyormuş.
Doğal afetlerde maalesef can almaya devam ediyor. Evet, bugünkü kaynaklar bizi nerelere götürdü? KKTC'nin o diplomatik tanınma mücadelesi, Türkiye'deki iç siyasetin dalgalanmaları, Gazze'deki o incecik ateşkes umudu ve diğer yanda doğal afetlerin acı yüzü.
Evet, bir yanda var olma mücadelesi, diğer yanda siyasi çekişmeler, savaşın gölgesi. Çok farklı yerlerde, çok farklı dinamikler ama sanki hepsi bir şekilde birbiriyle bağlantılı gibi değil mi?
Kesinlikle. Küresel bir ağ içindeyiz sonuçta. Evet, işte tam da bu noktada belki size şunu sormak lazım dinleyicilerimize. Bir halkın kendi kaderini tayin etmeye tanınma çabası, bir ülkenin içindeki o siyasi güç oyunları, yıllardır süren bir savaşta beliren kırılgan bir umut, bunlar ne kadar ayrı görünse de acaba küresel dengeleri, bölgesel istikrarı nasıl, ne kadar derinden etkiliyor ve belki de farkında olmadığımız ne gibi bağlarla birbirine bağlı olabilir? Üzerinde düşünmeye değer bir soru belki de.
Okay, let's unpack this. Today we're doing a deep dive into, wow, a really remarkable collection of news and updates you've shared with us. It's more than just a snapshot, right? It's like a living mosaic of significant events unfolding globally. We're talking high-stakes diplomacy, urgent humanitarian crises, even, local sports. Our mission to get beyond the headlines, find those crucial insights, and really connect the dots for you, give you that fresh perspective.
Exactly. And we'll be exploring how these seemingly separate events, think geopolitical moves in northern Cyprus, critical environmental concerns, complex international talks, how they're all interconnected. They really reflect these broader global currents. What's, I think, particularly intriguing is just how much depth we can find in, well, basically a single day's news cycle.
Yeah.
And how each piece, when you look closely, gives a unique window into our world.
Right, so here's where it gets really interesting. We're starting with northern Cyprus. President Ersin Tatar is back from his visit to Azerbaijan, and he held a press conference, Erkin Airport. Made a pretty significant statement. Said the perception of the Kuzey Kıbrıs Türk Cumhuriyeti, the northern Cyprus Turkish Republic, is, quote, rising.
Rising perception.
Yeah, and causing, his words, discomfort in southern Cyprus. He really emphasized that the reality of the TRNC is being seen and heard more every day.
And if we zoom out a bit, connect this to the bigger picture, Tatar's satisfaction with the support he got in Azerbaijan, it wasn't just, polite talk.
Right, not just diplomatic niceties.
No. He specifically thanked Turkey and Azerbaijan for helping overcome what he called embargoes and isolations. But the real highlight here, I think, was the TRNC's participation in that 17th Economic Cooperation Organization, the Eco Leaders Summit.
In Kankendi, Azerbaijan.
Exactly. And this is the first time they were there at such a high level, and, importantly, with the TRNC flag actually displayed in the hall.
Wow,
It signals this concerted strategy, trying to normalize the TRNC's international presence. Maybe not through formal recognition right away, but by building these undeniable sort of de facto economic and political ties, it's like trying to compel a new reality on the ground.
And Turkey's support for that strategy was, well, unmistakable, really strong. Turkish President Erdogan, at that same Eco Summit, he expressed satisfaction with Tatar's presence.
Yeah, he didn't just stop there.
No, he openly and clearly said he expected Eco members to, quote, increase economic, commercial, and political relations with the TRNC.
Right. Very direct.
And Prime Minister Ünal Usto, he called Erdogan's words a source of morale and hope for Turkish Cypriots. So what does this explicit backing mean for the TRNC's efforts to get broader acceptance beyond, friendly nations? Does it help or hinder?
That's really the crucial question, isn't it? Turkey's support is obviously vital for their immediate goals.
Sure.
But it definitely adds complexity for wider international recognition. Many nations are wary, of seeming to take sides in such a long-standing dispute.
Makes sense.
And this brings us right to the TRNC's firm two-state policy stance for that upcoming Cyprus meeting in New York, July 16-17.
Okay.
Qatar was clear. They'll participate to see whether cooperation can or cannot be done on certain issues between two states, flatly rejecting any attempt to be pulled into federation talks.
So no federation talks on the table for them.
Not from their side, no. He repeated that Turkish Cypriots have never shied away from dialogue but won't back down from protecting their rights. And it's significant. He also referenced the 51st anniversary of the Cyprus peace operation coming up on July 20th, which, from the Turkish Cypriot view, as Tatar presented it, created peace conditions for 51 years. Though it's important for listeners to remember that date marks the 1974 Turkish intervention, an event viewed very, very differently across the island and internationally.
Right, absolutely crucial context there. So the takeaway from all this intricate diplomacy in the Eastern Med, it seems like a clear sign that there's a deliberate, persistent strategy happening, trying to shift the geopolitical landscape.
Exactly. Emphasizing that de facto presence, challenging the established norms, whether formal recognition comes or not.
It's about understanding the long game being played here. Okay, so from that long-standing geopolitical dance in Cyprus, let's shift focus. We need to turn to more immediate and tragically escalating global flashpoints.
Right.
Let's start with the dire situation in Gaza. Hamas has apparently given a positive response to the ceasefire and prisoner exchange proposal.
Positive response, okay.
Yes, stating they're fully ready to enter into a serious round of negotiations immediately.
Well, what's truly striking here is this interplay. High-level diplomacy happening alongside this ongoing, just devastating humanitarian crisis. U.S. President Donald Trump actually called the Hamas response a good development. He even said he believes an agreement, ceasefire and prisoner exchange, could be signed next week.
That sounds optimistic.
It does. He also reiterated a very firm stance on Iran, saying the U.S. will not allow Iran to produce nuclear weapons, even though he thinks their activities are permanently disrupted.
Okay, and he's meeting Netanyahu soon.
Yeah, scheduled for July 7th to discuss Iran. But, beneath all these diplomatic moves, the human toll in Gaza, it just remains absolutely devastating.
The numbers are staggering.
They are. 57,338 dead. 135,957 injured since October 7th, 2023. And tragically, attacks specifically on humanitarian aid distribution zones just since May 27th have resulted in 743 deaths and nearly 5,000 injuries.
Unbelievable.
Trump's quick optimism, despite that continued carnage, it really underscores a kind of global desperation for even a temporary pause, doesn't it?
It does. It highlights how politics can sometimes overshadow the immediate human catastrophe in these high-stakes situations. Those Gaza numbers are just horrifying. It really underscores the desperate need for any path to peace, any viable path. Shifting our lens now, we're seeing communities elsewhere grappling with devastating environmental disasters.
Yeah.
In Turkey, those forest fires in Izmir, Şişme, Buca, Udmurt districts, they're now under control, thankfully. Cooling efforts are ongoing.
Good news, mostly.
Mostly, but tragically, a forest worker died in Udmurt. That brings the death toll there to 3.
Oh, that's terrible.
And the fire in Hatay's Dordial district is also partially controlled now.
And linking that to another kind of natural disaster,
Yeah.
severe floods have just ravaged parts of Texas in the U.S.
I saw reports on that. How bad is it?
At least 24 deaths reported so far. And the really alarming part is that 20 children are missing from a camp in Kerr County.
Oh my God, 20 children.
Yeah. Search efforts are going on intensely, but the sheriff warned the death toll could still rise.
Just awful.
These disasters, whether fires in Turkey or floods in Texas, they're just stark reminders. The immediate, profound impact of climate and extreme weather on people's lives.
Absolutely. It's not just a headline.
No, it's a direct threat to safety, to stability in these regions.
These updates are truly sobering. They underscore these urgent, varied challenges communities face everywhere. Conflict, the brute force of nature. For you, the listener, the connection is clear. That aren't distant events. They're part of this global tapestry of human resilience, but also vulnerability that really touches us all.
Okay, let's pivot now. Let's look at some domestic news, human interest stories. Give us a glimpse into daily life, local concerns within Turkey and northern Cyprus. We've seen new operations carried out against municipalities affiliated with the main opposition party in Turkey, the Republican People's Party, the CHP.
Ah, okay. What specifically?
Well, the Adana Metropolitan Municipality Mayor, Zeydan Karalar, and the Adıyaman Mayor, Abdurrahman Tatar, they were arrested. It's part of a corruption investigation linked back to Istanbul.
Right.
And also, the Antalya Metropolitan Municipality Mayor, Muhittin Boşaks, was arrested in a separate bribery investigation.
Wow, okay. So a series of arrests targeting prominent opposition figures, especially in these large metropolitan areas.
Seems so. It immediately raises questions, doesn't it, about the political landscape, the government's anti-corruption drive, how it's being applied. But what's fascinating, too, is just the breadth of local news we see, from these big political, legal actions to more community things. And sadly, we also pause to reflect on the passing of Nöber Özgen Atamur.
Yes, a former announcer for TRT.
Right, the Turkish national broadcaster.
Yeah.
A respected member of the Turkish Journalists Association. And also the daughter of General Deniz Kırbeli, who was a significant figure in Turkish history.
A notable loss. Turning to community safety, development, we heard about narcotics training for police officers at Erkin Airport.
Okay, practical skills.
Yeah, aiming to improve their skills in combating drug smuggling. Seems like a focus on keeping key entry points secure.
Makes sense. And for maybe a more vibrant example of local life, the traditional Iskil Festival in northern Cyprus.
Ah, yes, the festival.
They recently held their Foreigners' Night. It brought together foreign nationals living there in Iskil.
That sounds interesting.
Yeah, featured a performance by a group called Karma Koro. Artists from Iran, Russia, Kazakhstan, Ukraine, the Philippines.
Wow, quite a mix.
It really showcases that growing multicultural fabric in northern Cyprus, doesn't it? And efforts to integrate diverse communities through culture.
Definitely. Okay, finally, a quick look at sports. Just a taste of local athletic activities and achievements.
Always good to include.
We saw the start of the 3 Champions Angels Beach Volleyball League. Seems like beach sports are gaining traction there. Nikati Ersoy was re-elected president of the Turkish Cypriot Sports Writers Association, so continuity in sports media.
Okay.
And it's great to hear about Alara Ghaffari. She's gaining important experience at the WPA Women's World 8-Ball Billiards Championship. That's in the USA.
Oh, fantastic. That's significant for her and for the visibility of Northern Cypriot talent internationally.
Absolutely. We also heard Northern Cyprus Team 1 finished 3rd in the foot tennis Turkish Championship in Istanbul.
Foot tennis, interesting. 3rd place, nice showing.
Yeah. And the 4th season of the Spor Academy program is running on BRT1, the local broadcaster. So consistent development of local sports programming, too.
Okay, wow. We have covered a remarkable amount of ground today.
We really have.
From those intricate diplomatic moves around northern Cyprus to the devastating humanitarian crises, natural disasters impacting people globally,
Yeah.
the complexities of domestic Turkish politics,
Yeah.
and that vibrant pulse of local culture and sports.
Indeed. And if you try to connect all these threads, it just underscores how deeply interconnected our world really is.
Right.
And how quickly things can unfold across so many different areas. Critical thinking, it's not just essential for navigating all this information.
Yeah.
It's about seeing those subtle shifts, the significant implications that aren't immediately obvious. Hopefully this deep dive has offered you a clearer, maybe more nuanced perspective.
So what does this all mean for you, the listener?
Well, it's about seeing beyond just the daily headlines, isn't it? Understanding those deeper currents that shape our global narrative, discerning the strategic moves in diplomacy, recognizing the human impact of crises.
And appreciating the local stories.
Exactly. Appreciating those local stories that altogether paint a much richer picture of our world. So as you reflect on this deep dive, maybe consider this. How do those long-term, patient diplomatic strategies we talked about in Northern Cyprus, how do they contrast with the urgent, desperate pleas for a ceasefire we hear from Gaza?
That's a powerful contrast.
And how might the ongoing political dynamics within Turkey subtly influence its regional foreign policy, maybe even towards Cyprus or the wider region? These seemingly separate events, they're often intertwined in ways we don't immediately grasp. And recognizing those connections, that can profoundly enhance your own daily insights, your understanding of the world around you.